Yeah, you can start now.
Yeah, okay. Good evening and a warm welcome to everyone here from Talking Films Online, TFO for short. TFO was founded almost on a whim by Professor Nikhila and myself in June 2020 during the lockdown. Since then, TFO has had uninterrupted discussions on films from all over the world every Saturday at 9 p.m. on Zoom. It is a group of film scholars, researchers, students, teachers, and anyone passionate about cinema. It has been our practice to invite people to select and lead the discussion of the chosen film, which we watch in our own time and place. On some occasions, filmmakers, editors, and cinematographers have also joined our sessions. Aparna Sen, Amol Palekar, Girish Kasarwalli, and Adur Gopalakrishnan, to name a few. We have held film festivals such as East European, Iranian, Women's Cinema, and others. In the month of June each year, to celebrate our anniversary, we hold a smartphone short film making contest for students and a lecture series in the university departments. This evening, we will discuss Gulzar's ANGOOR. The film was suggested by Fagun Bhavsar, who will initiate the discussion. Fagun is a senior software QA consultant. He is passionate about music, movies, books, and theater. Welcome, Fagun, to TFO, and over to you.
Thanks a lot, Gita ma'am, and good evening to all. Am I audible, everyone?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So without wasting much time, I would like to start off with um, the whole idea behind the discussion that I've been watching this specific movie all over again, and every single time whenever I'm watching this movie, I'm getting some or other kind of literary nuances from it. And at the same time, I found that it's a very simple story with a very organized script, and the way it has been pulling out all the humor on surface was such a brilliant piece of filmmaking. That's what I found. And for me, since lockdown till now, I've been watching this movie whenever I feel sad or down or sometimes like, and I've been watching this film in a very like in a episode wise, so that I can study it and I can know more about it. So the structure is of my discussion is basically more or less of a presentation that I would like to give, but I would like to make it more of interactive. So in the meantime, I'll be asking a question, I'll be sharing the trivia, and yeah, that is how I'm going to do. So I think everyone is fine with that. Should I consider yes from your end so that I can go ahead?
We generally, like the person initiating the discussion will speak for about half an hour.
Yep.
And then we open it up for discussion. Because if you open it out straight away, then it becomes quite chaotic.
Okay, ma'am, no problem.
Yeah.
That should be absolutely fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me start my presentation. So this is the first page that I'm going to share. Since it's a light comedy movie, so I would like to start it with what I would say that and a note of current generation, sharing some memes around that. So yeah, this is how I would like to start. I believe that it's an allegory of sweet and sour emotion of humankind, which still stands the test of time. So the reference story goes back to, I would like to talk about the reference story of the Comedy of Errors, William Shakespeare's five-act play, which was the first, uh, it was first acted on 1594. And William Shakespeare has taken the material from the Roman playwright uh, Plautus, and his play was Marishme, which is about the two separated identical twins who separated in the during the childhood, and then they and one brother goes to the town where the other brother was living, and that's how the swapping is happening, and then there is a mistaken identity, and how all the confusion and everything was started, and things are becoming chaotic. So in the main story, there was no such concept of introducing the two identical servant also. It was William Shakespeare who came up with an idea. Yeah, so this is how the film start. Like Gulzar Saab has actually introduced William Shakespeare with someone as if he's from the like a from a the way you introduce your family person. So this was like a on the very first scene, he is making it so interactive and so known for the audience also, so that you can have the connection, even though like most of the time uh, whenever you talk about William Shakespeare is always about the literature, but this is for the first time you can see that okay, it looks like a very connecting to the audience. Yeah. So when William Shakespeare developed this entire story, he introduced the two more character, which is the identical twins of in a form of servant, and then the one uh, pair, like master and servant pair, is living in the town, and then the other master and servant pair goes to the different the same town, and then the all the confusion is happening. Now, this play was also highlighted some of the social norms of that time, the Victorian, the during the human societies. Now, how exactly the servant was treated, how was the relationship between the husband and wife, and most of the time the man was involved in the extramarital affair and also exorcism and everything. So Gulzar Saab has actually, yeah. So this was the timeline. So basically, the Comedy of Errors, it was already adapted in Indian literature by Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. He actually created the play, Bangla play called Bhranti Bilash in 1876. And based on this play, Bidhayak Bhattacharya ji has directed the movie with the same name, Bhranti Bilas, in 1963, where Uttam Kumar and uh, Bhanu Chattopadhyay was the main character in the master and servant role. And then, inspired from that, Debu Sen, who was the then assistant director to Bimal Roy, he has actually directed the movie Do Duni Cha, starring Kishore Kumar and Asit Sen. And this was the first time where you can see the actual depiction of William Shakespeare's theater, because both the protagonist, master and the servant, had they were sharing the same name. He was Sandeep and the Sevak. Now, the character were introduced with their traits. Now, although they all four are like identical twins, but they had certain traits through which audience can identify who is who. And the dialogue and the lyrics and narration done by Gulzar Saab. The film was miserably failed. So, but then Gulzar Saab was pretty sure about the and pretty confident about the screenplay and the story. So he took it again in 1982 and he created this amazing movie called Angur. Sorry. In between 1969, there was one more movie called Gustaki Ma, which was not exactly same as the Comedy of Errors, but it was having some elements from the Manishmi, where the two identical twins, the girls, they got separated in the during the childhood, and then they got together by accident in a same town, and then all the chaos and confusion happened. So this was released in 1969. Yeah. I will talk about why I'm mentioning about this movie later on, because it is also sharing very interesting connection between Angoor and Angoor and Do Dunicha. So this is the character, the introduction of a character. Now, in this slide, you can see that the parents, the mother and a father, and they are having this identical.
Sorry to interrupt you, Fagun.
Yeah.
Do you intend to share your screen? Do you want us to see the slides?
I'm really sorry. I didn't
Because
share
we
some.
were not aware. Madhurima, can you share screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So let me go back. Yeah. So this is the introduction of the story, which I was talking about, and yeah. So this is how the presentation is starting. Yeah. So yeah, little bit of joke here now. And this is how the movie starts, with the glimpse of William Shakespeare. By the way, this character was played by a theater artist from the West Bengal, from Calcutta. Now, this specific scene, which start with the classics of like the English classics, it talks about two English classics. One is Comedy of Errors, of course, and one is a story which I believe, if you have seen this movie carefully, you would understand, you would definitely remember the name. It's a very famous story of twins. Based on this story, there are so many Hindi movies made, so many Indian movie made, in which one brother is beaten, or one brother is getting hurt, and other one is getting pain. So you must have seen that. Now, uh, as the story propagates, we can see that most of the time that humor is happening with on a very much situation based. Even in this case, where you can see that there are two twins, someone has left at the door at the temple, and people are talking about whether to take them up, and for like whether to adopt them or not. At that time, one person, one overweight person, was like sulking a bit, like oof, oof. Now, if you observe that carefully, it will it will show like this might uh, someone can, in a traditional directorial way, you can create it, you can make it more slapstick by just making a body movement or something. But instead of doing that, Gulzar Saab made sure that this has come up with a real humor and actual humor. So every single time someone is speaking a line, and that person says oof, oof, in a different frequency, if you observe them, and that has become so hilarious, although it's a very sad situation. So this is also touching the human, like day-to-day human life. People are facing this kind of problem. We have been seeing all the social norms around us, but even in that case, you have come up with a real I would say this is a kind of very innocent humor, which again express the way he direct the film, like the way he is, his vision to direct the specific situation. And then in the same scene, like after before that, when they are having the conversation, the parents, both the parents are having a conversation about बड़ा अन्याय हो गया, and then the other person, uh, the bullock cart rider, he said, the horse cart rider says, हुजूर अन्याय हो गया, आपको भी पता चल गया. So now this both are completely different situation. They are talking about their sons, and he is talking about the other two kids. But now, if you look at it carefully, that has come up with a just because of that one dialogue. हुजूर बड़ा, ये तो बड़ा अन्याय है, हुजूर बड़ा अन्याय हो गया, आपको भी पता चल गया. So if you carefully consider that, that has become again very hilarious. So an audience can definitely connect with that. So yeah, and then cut to the part where now they have all grown up, and the one pair of master and servant, Ashok and Bahadur, are in one city called Dinkapur, and here these two, uh, the other pair of master and servant, Ashok and Bahadur, are here. Now, if you look at the character of the wife,
Sorry to interrupt. Your screen has not changed. Do you wish to
no,
change?
no, I'm still
It
there.
is in.
So
Okay, okay, sorry.
I have not changed it.
Okay, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this scene, if you look at very carefully, it gives the very much characteristic of everyone who are sitting here. Now, this is the wife, Adriana, and then sorry, Juliana. Juliana is the sister-in-law. Adriana is the wife, and the main character, Ashok. Now, Sudha and the Sudha and the other character, uh, these three are playing cards. So every time they are making some sort of face movement, from the face movement you will realize that the characteristic of their, like, how exactly they would be in a real life. Like the wife is always she is always anxious, she's always think about something else, and the sister-in-law, she is always in her own charm, like she's having a really good time, and she's like someone who is carefree. And the main character, Ashok, now the Ashok is actually behaving like a typical Indian man who is a head of the house, and he always try to mock at someone whenever he is getting the time, and he is having that habit of smelling the snuff, that you can see that in a very first scene they have seen. Now, this scene talks about William Shakespeare quote, "What is there in the name?" in a very hilarious manner. So he said that नाम में क्या रखा है, हो तो नाम चेंज करवा देते, नाम चेंज करने से आदमी थोड़ी चेंज. So that says, okay, पिताजी, so the conversation started, पिताजी, पता है पिताजी तुम्हें पहले बहादुर समझे थे और बहादुर को अशोक. So he said, अगर ऐसा ही हुआ होता तो तुम्हारी शादी उस गधे से हो जाती. Then she says, the sister-in-law says, कि नाम, शादी तो होती तो आपसे ही है, भले जो भी नाम हो, तो नाम में क्या रखा है, नाम चेंज करवा दे. So that has given the another aspect of humor, which also depict the quote of, like, what is there in the name. And then this scenes end with the, मैं तो तंग आ गई, फिर से आ गए, दो गुलाम दो बादशाह. So that gives the idea to the audience that where that story is heading to. Now, yeah. So this is the second pair of Bahadur and Ashok. Now, if you look at it, in both the slide, if you look at the character, the Bahadur from who is traveling from the Dinkapur is having a full sleeve shirt, and this other Bahadur he always fold his sleeves. So this full sleeve shirt and the folded sleeve shirt, that is a tipping point where you can have, like, it's like a, I would say, Easter egg, where you can find it out like who is the Bahadur 1 and who is the Bahadur 2. Similarly, if you look at the, like, Ashok, now this Ashok is smoking a cigarette. He is smoking, he is a chain smoker. And this Ashok is sniffing a snuff. So you would understand that who, whenever we talk about Ashok 1, so you will have that picture on your mind that okay, we are talking about the Ashok who is sniffing a snuff, and Ashok 2 who is smoking a cigarette. And this Ashok is a fond of a novel, and if you see, if you have carefully observed in this scene on the slide, the photograph on the left hand side, he always imagine the all kind of crime scene around him. Okay, some gang is behind him, someone tries to murder him and to steal his money. So he is always skeptic about it, and he behaves like as if he is like a spy. So this is also very much related to Gulzar Saab, the journey of becoming a poet and writer. That he used to write a lot of. He started his reading journey, reading all kind of this kind of spy thriller. He used to talk about all the spy thriller. So that is what it depicts over here. And here, as you look at it, then like Ashok's wives, Sudha always fights with him. And before this scene, there's one song, there's a very beautiful song sung by Asha Bhosle and composed by Panchamda R.D. Burman. So, Vada Nibhane Ki Raat Aayi Hai. If you have seen, if you look at that song, it talks about she is keep on gesturing about the golden necklace. Okay, you have given the golden necklace to your girlfriend. Now it's my time. So she is continuously talking about that, and that was very beautiful way to represent that. If you have seen that song, yeah. Now, in this picture, uh, it talks about the other woman in Ashok's life. Yeah, she is Alka, and this person, whenever he's disturbed, so from the conversation and from the story so far, you would realize that whenever this person is angry with his wife or he is kind of frustrated, this person would definitely go to her house and would stay here. Yeah. So in this scenario, yeah, in this scene, you have seen that uh, due to the confusion where the song was happening at the theater, where his sister-in-law, she was performing the song, where the Ashok 2 and Bahadur 2, they went to watch that theater performance, and she actually taken them to her house, and these two guys are still at the jeweler shop. And in Shakespeare's novel, the jewelers, of course, jewelers was there, but instead of inspector, there was a teacher who was also expert in exorcism. He was there. So here, it would be really nicer to like it to give the modern touch of like to the story. They have introduced, like Gulzar Saab has actually introduced the inspector, the police commissioner instead of the exorcist, and the jeweler, and the person who is creating the who has helped them to manufacture that necklace. Now, this is this and in this scene where Sanjay Kumar was where this actor, his name is Yunus Pervez. Yunus Pervez actually explained him that this was the situation. I was there. You were sitting in the auto, and I have handed over the necklace to you, and I kept it on the knee. So the जानो पे रखा था. So he said that जानो उर्दू में घुटनों को जानो कहते हैं. So the his next obvious question is उर्दू में अशोक को क्या कहते हैं. So he said that अशोक का इससे क्या लेना देना. तो अशोक का हार से कुछ लेना देना नहीं. Now you imagine you are stuck in a situation where you are whatever the explanation that you are giving is 100% true, but nobody is believing you, even your near and dear one. So, and you cannot go out of your way to explain them, or you cannot even throw your tantrums to that. What would be your reaction to that? Like, you will be highly confused, and you keep on try to explain in all possible manner. So in this case, in this scenario, he is explaining the entire situation with the with all the details on writing down on the pencil, but it was all futile, and it was give you the one more hilarious situation. Yeah. So the other part which I wanted to discuss over here, where the swapping, how the swapping has happened, like the person, the Ashok number two and Bahadur number two, they go to the theater to watch the song. Now they, till the time they were not sure about, the sister-in-law Dipti Nawal was not really sure about whether his brother-in-law and the servant will show up for the show or not. And in this case, the other Ashok and Bahadur, they showed up there, and police commissioner literally caught them. So that time Sanjeev Kumar said that मुझे ये जीप चलानी नहीं आती है. Now imagine you say this kind of statement to police commissioner that, okay, I'm going to take you with I'm going to take you with me. So, and you said that no, मुझे ये जीप चलानी नहीं आती है. So that is also pretty hilarious uh, at the juncture where the entire situation is so tense. We would expect some kind of dramatic scene, but this was also beautifully converted into a highly humorous situation there. Yeah. And in the end, when after all the confusion, they got together. Of course, the scenario, the situation where the intoxication happened, that the Bahadur number two always carries that bhang with him, and he mix it up in the pakoras, and then they are giving it to them. This is also creating the kind of the, this actually depicts the man-to-man conversation that every time, like even today, if you look at the general scenario, if a man who tries to do some kind of mischief behind his wife's back, you always seen this kind of conversation, even today, that you make some kind of scheme or some kind of conspiracy with your friend, and you just try to get away with that. And in this scenario, yeah, so in this scenario, संजीव कुमार कीप ऑन आस्किंग, अरे बहादुर तू बाप में क्या सुन रहा हो, तू बाप बनने वाला. नाउ इफ यू रिमेंबर दिस सीन, द टाइम द बहादुर was to the point, he was giving him a warning about that I have mixed up the bhang in that pakoda, and then you don't need to uh, eat that. Just make sure that you just make them eat that. That time, Sanjeev Kumar, the Ashok, is saying the same thing again and again, but in a different frequency. अरे बहादुर मैं क्या सुन रहा हूँ, तू बाप बनने वाला है, अरे बहादुर तू बाप बनने वाला है, अरे बहादुर तू बाप बनने वाला है. Now, if you count this thing, if you count each and every instance of that, you would realize that how you can make it so. It's a silly thing. If you look at it, if I can read that, it would definitely sound very silly. But if you look at it, the way it has been improvised was killed. It was marvelous. Yeah. Yeah, so the music of this movie, on honestly, there was no song in this movie. Earlier, when Gulzar Saab started directing this movie, there were no song uh, scheduled for this film. I mean, for this film, but somehow they came up with the situation where so in case of that very seductive encounter between the Ashok one and his wife Sudha. So that time they have converted this entire situation into a beautiful song, and uh, instead of uh, instead of having, so in original theater, if you see that the one pair of master and servant, they actually go to the courtesan, the master's girlfriend, to have a feast, and that's where the swap or exchanges happen. So here, how exactly is happening that they have actually come up with the idea of a song, and that's how that Rose Rose Dali Dali, that another beautiful song has happened, like based on the raga. And then the third song is After the Intoxication, which is also pretty interesting thing, because Preetham Anmilo was actually from the movie Mr. and Mrs. 55, Guru Dutt's movie, where C.H. Atma and Geeta Dutt, they have actually performed this song separately, like solo male and solo female. So they take it. So Gulzar Saab actually thought of keep picking most serious or possibly the most sad song, like the saddest song, taking from that movie and putting into a scenario or putting into a situation where it becomes the hilarious one, and he has modified the lyrics accordingly, and that's how the song has happened. Yeah. And Do Duni Char, the 1968 movie, uh, which was based on the Bhranti Bilas, that was also the lyrics was done by Guldar Saab, and there Hemant Kumar has composed the music there. Hawao Pe Likh Do Hawao Ke Naam was one of the most underrated, still considered as the underrated gem from Kishore Kumar. So yeah, that was the about the music. Uh, Music also have the, if you look at the last car chase scene, it plays the "ऐ मेरे दिल कहीं और चल गम की दुनिया से दिल भर गया." So in on accordion, if you look at that scene, you would realize that this was the background scene. Now "ऐ मेरे दिल कहीं और चल," that is also a very sad song done by Talat Mahmood. But now this sad song was actually fit into the one of the most hilarious situations. So yeah. As far as the filmmaking style is concerned, from the Gulzar Saab, you would say that even if the scenes are like scenes are two different scenes, but he has made sure that through editing it is making the continuous. For example, you remember the scene where Sudha tries to give Sudha gave him the Ashok, the alcohol, and after having the alcohol, so the Ashok just try to kiss Sudha, and immediately the scene changes to the jeweler shop where the other Ashok, the Ashok number one, says, "Oof, chhe." So that actually these both are two scenes, but it connects so well that you it looks like the continuation. So and even the scene where the Bahadur goes for to buy a rope for that khudkushi, the suicide. So first he goes and he bargain with that shopkeeper. So shopkeeper just asked him to go away. Then the other Bahadur immediately shows up and he said, "Okay, मरते मरते 18 बचाएगा क्या, जल ले जा, तू भी क्या याद करेगा." So that this both are two different sequence, two different scenes, but the way it has been edited so well that it looks like a continuation of the story. uh, I have also got the script of this movie. Gulzar Saab actually published a book called Manzarnama. uh, so this is the script of the movie. Can you see this? Hello?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yeah. Yeah. So the script, if you read that, you would see that it's a nearly perfect script which does not have a scope of a improvisation. Still, if you look at the Sanjeev Kumar's acting, he has done improvisation in so many places that, like saying, like uttering the word बहादुर तू बाप बनने वाले, पर ये मैं क्या सुन रहा हूँ, तू बाप बनने वाला. Now this is all the improvisation that has happened. Even in the case where Ashok from the village, he actually goes to see the garden of grapes, and from there he was coming back, and I would like to, if you don't mind, I would like to read that the scene. So yeah. So it says that the script says that एक ऊपर से एक बदमाश दिखाई देने वाला आदमी आया जिसका नाम था मस्ताना. और so that बदमाश दिखाई देने वाला आदमी, if you start reading that script, you would realize that this is how so he was pretty much sure about the kind of characteristic also, that okay, this is what I want. So he has taken this kind of character Mastana over there and created, like, so even if you read through the script, it would be like pretty hilarious, although it doesn't sound like a hilarious, but when you read that, you would realize that, yeah. So in that scenario, in that scene, the scene actually completes at he went there and he was waiting for the bus. But even after that, if you look at that, Sanjeev Kumar actually shout at the bus. He said the line, "बड़े footage खा रही है, अरे कैसे चल रही है बड़े." So this was the added line. This was the improvised line. It was not there in the script. And there was another aspect where, okay, I would like to uh, give you further trivia. So I'm not going to discuss that further. Like, will definitely ask as a part of trivia. Yeah. And again, like most of the time, you see that the movies has a lot of an interaction through the eyesight that has been happening, whether the situation where you see that they all got together, then the the last scene where the sister-in-law, she actually completely went unconscious, and then she whenever she was brought back to the normalcy, she was also behaving like someone who is still intoxicated. And even then uh, the s- the scene, yeah, I remember the scene at the hotel where they talk about ये ये रुपये है, मैं कबर्ड में रख के जा रहा हूँ, और ये खाली बैग यहाँ पे छोड़ दे. सो दैट टाइम दे सेड दैट अब कोई बैग के चक्कर में होगा तो ये बैग लेके चला जाएगा, लेकिन रुपये तो सेफ रहेंगे. So, and you see that the way the servant is explaining the entire situation, like कि मच्छरदानी को बांधो, आप मच्छरदानी को बांधो और आप बाहर सो जाओ, मच्छर को लगेगा आप यहाँ मच्छरदानी में सो, तो मच्छर वहां चले जाएंगे. So that was like pretty silly joke, but like the way it has been acted upon was so hilarious that it gives the different kind of flavor to the humor. Yeah. And the last scene where again there was one more situation happened when the Ashok, the other Ashok from the city, was not able to recognize his mother. His wife hilariously tells him that अपनी माँ को भी नहीं पहचानते हो, जरा देख लो कहीं दो दो माँ ना निकल आए, जहाँ पे दो दो अशोक और दो बहादुर निकले कहीं दो माँ ना निकल आए. So this was also, I mean, maybe if you the underlying statement of this entire scenario was like a giving the very tragic outcome of it, like someone who has not seen his mother from last maybe 20 25 or 30 years, and you are making a kind of sarcastic comment over here which might lead to a some other tragic or melodramatic scene, but this has been really pacified by the statement that kahin do do maan na nikal. And when the mother concludes the script, like, so this is the way that the movie ends. So yeah, this was my presentation on the movie Angur, and open
Yeah.
the floor for the question answer and trivia and all. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Fagun, for taking us through the film almost scene by scene, and also starting with history of the adaptation of this particular film. Madhurima, I think we can stop sharing screen.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's now open for discussion. Anyone has a question or a comment?
So I would like to share some trivia. So in the very first scene, um, when both parents are talking about the kid, like who was got the feeding and who is still remain. So that time, Utpal, the father says, ये कॉर्सिकन ये तो कॉर्सिकन ब्रदर की स्टोरी में होता था, ये तो कॉमेडी ऑफ एरर के बच्चे हैं. Now, Corsican Brothers is the story of again twin brothers by Alexander Dumas, and as I have already mentioned that it has been numerous time adapted in especially in Hindi film. Like you have a twin brother, like one is getting hurt, then other is getting feeling the pain and all. So that was the Corsican Brothers, and yeah, and when you go forward, like you would see that Shakespeare quotation was always been they have been used in a different manner in a different situation. Like one you have already seen that नाम में क्या रखा है, नाम बदला लेते आदमी थोड़ी चेंज. The other such quotation, which is like a rose is a rose is a rose. If you if you seen if you see this sequence carefully, where the Ashok number two, he goes to the sister-in-law's room, offer her pakoda. He said that फूल खूबसूरत है तो खूबसूरत है, क्यों खूबसूरत है, छोड़ो ना. So it also talks about the same, the rose is a rose is a rose, in a very different manner. By the way, interestingly, the comedy of error was actually called a farce and a light and a frothy. theater. Now, if you look at Angoor, it is not at all light and frothy, not at all slapstick. Even if the element of slapstick that has been taken care, that has been treated so well that you look like it's a wordplay or a puns around that. Like even in one situation where they first time when the first Ashok he goes to the jeweler shop and that Babban Mia says that uh, कि सज रही है सरकार हीरे पन्ने लग जाएंगे तो देखिएगा फिर आप आपकी अपनी बेगम पहचानी नहीं जाएगी ऐसा लगेगा कि किसी दूसरे को उड़ा लाए that was also come up with a like a simple word play from the both Urdu and Hindi to create that humor in that situation. Yeah. Now, yeah.
There may be someone with a question or a comment. Maybe we should give them a chance.
Sure. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, anyone with a comment or a question? Sanjay, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Geeta. I have a couple of points.
Yeah, please.
Like some of the differences between Comedy of Errors and Angoor. That there in Comedy of Errors, these two servants, they're actually bought, they are slaves. Here, they're not shown as slaves, but born from different parents. And since this couple, they want to take care of these two children, so they adopt. And ultimately they serve as, they serve to their own children, but they are not like slaves and they are not bought. So they are adopted. Another point in narration, in Comedy of Errors, there is a flashback that the father, he is like arrested by the police of the estate where he enters by mistake, which is forbidden by the laws of the state. And then he's asked to, he's actually given death penalty, but he has to deposit some amount after the, the judgment. And then he starts telling his story that how these two children were born and then what happened. And his two, like his one of the pairs, they go in search of looking for another pair because they are told that you have, another twin brothers. So they start looking for these brothers. And then for 5 years, in one of the sentences, it says that I have been looking for them for 5 summers. So for 5 years, they have been searching. And so the story, there is a flashback. So we know about the past, what happened. Whereas in Angoor, everything happens in a linear way, that the story, we are always in the present. So that technique probably Shakespeare would have adopted to, because Comedy of Errors is also along with the Tempest, which maintained in a way 3 unities, which is, 3 unities which are always flouted in Shakespeare in most of the cases. So except for the Tempest and in Comedy of Errors, they were maintained. And by the like 17th century, the respect of 3 unities was a very common in theater. And that was also expected from Shakespeare, but British drama was not so rigid as French drama. So Shakespeare could flout all these rules of, so-called rules of Aristotelian tragedy or, plays. So then, so some of the words which are very crude in Shakespeare in Comedy of Errors, whereas in Angoor, they become very soft. Some kind of body humor, some sexual innuendos, so many things are there. For example, this Sanjeev Kumar, I mean, here as it has been shown that he's not actually trying to have sexual rapport with the younger sister, with the younger sister, the sister-in-law, so called. Whereas in Comedy of Errors, it's very obvious. So many scenes which are maybe more suitable for the audience of Shakespeare in 16th century, they have become very soft, more sophisticated, probably to suit the taste of 20th century audience. And so the language is very polite, whereas in Shakespeare, language is very crude, like in so many places, which was okay with the audience of Shakespeare in 16th century. And of course, you have already talked about slapstick comedy. So in several places, like the servant is beaten up by the master. Whereas here, there is only one slap. In Comedy of Errors, in several places, you will see that he is frequently beaten up, and as it was expected in a farce or in a slapstick comedy, there has to be slap and stick. Whereas there is only one slap here in Gulzar's film. Yeah, there is also courtesan, for example, in Comedy of Errors, where the sexual relation is probably more prominent in Shakespeare, but here it is a bit sanitized. It's not shown in such a direct way. So, well, these are the points which I just wanted to discuss. Probably, yeah. But it was a very good presentation because you talked about so many things of which we were not aware, particularly the script, how it was, changed, and how there were certain innovations by actors at the time of shooting of the film. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sanjay. Any other comments, questions? Would anyone else like to speak? I think even if we study the film as an adaptation, it can still stand, independent of the adaptation. Although Gulzar insists on us viewing it as an adaptation, from as Fagun has already told us about the opening scene in which there is a portrait of Shakespeare, though he hardly looks like Shakespeare. And so it's almost like, the filmmakers inviting the audience to see it as an adaptation. But I think even if, amongst the audience, there are people who don't know Shakespeare or who have not read Comedy of Errors, it can still stand independently as a film. And I thought, that was the beauty of the film.
Absolutely, absolutely, ma'am. So, to add to that, like even if you look at the Plato's original play, Manishme or Comedy of Errors, it talks about in general slavery and the pursuit of freedom. But here, the way it has been described as the social norm where you have the master has a servant, but he is not treated as a servant, like more or less uh, like a member of a family. So that is how it has been. And looking at the I mean, looking at the difference between two classes and how exactly they have a conversation with each other, how their mind, how their thought process works in the end, it actually gives you the lot of humorous situation over here. And as I already mentioned, the each and every scene that has been treated in such a manner that you would find at least some or other very hilarious like very hilarious stuff. Although we generally, if you look at the other way, you may not probably find it hilarious at all.
I didn't quite get why Alka is dressed as a sannyasin.
Okay, so this is my thought process. So it's like, okay, there's one more, I would say, Easter egg. This, if you look at that same scene where Sanjeev Kumar is having a breakfast and she is serving the breakfast, that time they talk about that हार तो अब मैं उसकी लाश को ही पहनाऊंगा, जैसे मीरा में जयमाल को पहनाया था. Now he actually talk about Gulzar Saab, another movie of Meera. So Gulzar Saab also directed a movie based on the life of Mirabai. So Mirabai has Meera, the movie has this scene. So
Oh,
he
okay.
actually talks about that. So I mean, this is also kind of, I'm not sure. This is just my assumption that uh, the Alka, she did not get the chance to marry Ashok, so she decided to stay as a sannyasin. So maybe
Okay.
that might be one of the reasons.
Yeah, but the intertextual element that you brought out was a reference to the other film, Meera, was very interesting. I was not aware of that.
So yeah, so because I was, as I told you, like I was going through that script and I realized, okay, this is from the other movie. Like, yeah.
Okay. Any more comments, questions? Okay, if there are no more comments, questions, we will end the session here. Thank you very much, Fagun, for that really interesting presentation.
Thanks a
And
lot.
yeah,
Thank
and
you.
thank you all for joining. Good night. See you next Saturday, same time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Good night. Thank you.